Hello, everyone. My name is Ioana Donovan, and I'm the president of Youth for Development and Sustainable Goals Bulgaria, foundation based in Varna, Bulgaria. And today we're going to talk about the power of green, a way into more livable cities. Our presenter is Marta Cruz, our current intern, and we have also Nathan with us, who is our future intern in the organization. So yeah, I think Marta and Nathan, you can say a few words about you yourself, your studies, and then we can start with the presentation.
Maybe you want to go first, Nathan, so then I follow like
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought
fluently.
it's a ladies first kind of thing. But yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Nathan Tambabong. I'm from the Philippines, but I'm currently taking up my master's in environmental engineering in the University of So I'm currently in my first year, and I'm taking up my internship with the team, the YDSG. So yeah, this is actually my first day, and I'm looking forward to learning more. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Marta?
My name is Marta, and I'm from Portugal, and I've been doing my internship for 3 months now. And my background is environmental engineering. I'm now transitioning to a master's in the same field. So I have found quite an interest in urban planning, and that's especially in city design. So that's why I chose this topic, a bit of urban green spaces, as a way of mitigating climate effects in cities. So I wanted to bring as well a bit of my country to presentation. So I'll showcase a bit of what my city is doing and how it has been affected. So yes, about my country, it's a place of good weather, very, very sad music, and also very big waves. So great for surfing and sunny weather. But we are also very affected by climate change. We have a very serious problem of drought, and every year we suffer a lot from forest fires, especially in the summer. But this is just the general climate aspect of the country. So we have in the south of the country, people already have their water rationed, and across all regions, temperatures have been increasing in average 0.3 degrees per decade since the 70s. So it has been more around 2 degrees more heated more than before. So summers are becoming very unsufferable here. So, but I wanted to specify the case in my city, which also suffers from heating. It's one of the oldest cities in Europe, of capital cities. And this means very narrow streets and very hard to modernize, to serve modern needs. So it's a very hard balance to innovate and maintain cultural heritage, especially in the downtown areas where usually trees were not planted when constructing cities before. So this is one of the aspects, very important, and it's also very hilly. So even harder to plan accordingly. And so when the cities have three big heating problems: heat waves, increase in temperatures, and the urban island effect. So just for the record, in case you don't know, heat wave is a period of time where the average temperature, the temperature is higher than average, so around 10 days usually. So all is related to heating, but the actual effect we feel on cities is that due to construction density, the heat coming from the sun is absorbed, especially in the concrete and the buildings. This creates sort of like a heating sphere around the urban areas, and usually it's around 5-7 degrees warmer in urban areas. This might not seem like a lot, but internal sensation is very, very big. And this is a country where 300 days of the year is sunny. So it is become quite impactful, especially in the metropolitan area of Lisbon, because towards south is even more sunny. And this is a city without a lot of safe spaces for people to protect themselves from the heat. And every year it has been more cases of people having heat strokes and suffering from this. So, but this is not the only aspect of the effect. Because of the heating, AC is usually more used as well. So we have an increase in energy consumption, which is not great when you want a more sustainable city. Also, elevated emissions, not that cars emit more, but with the heating, there is also pollutants are more likely to stay trapped around surface area instead of escaping due to gradient pressure, the pressure gradient, which means also lower air quality, which is a problem we all know, but it's often overlooked. And actually, Bulgaria is one of the most affected in Europe in terms of deaths related to air quality problems. I believe it's around the second place after Serbia. So it's quite impactful. It's not, although it's something that occurs long time, it's also a big problem, therefore compromise human health. And it also can affect the quality in the water due to it also heats the water and can lead to proliferation of microbes, maybe not pathogenics as well, and affect wildlife in the areas where it goes on the river, the part of it. So the main thing to do in a city is create green corridors, areas of ventilation that allows for air to pass through, and pollutants not stay focused on surface level, and therefore having more cooling around the city. So this is the example of what the city now suffers. So you can see this is where the heating effect is higher. So it's in this area, which is the area that was built for Expo 98, which is the year in Portugal. And this is basically a concrete jungle. So therefore there's a higher level here, and you can see the number of trees here. It's not very high. They're in the neighboring park in the limits of the city. Even though it's mostly grass, they're still noticeable that the effect is much lower. And this is the old part of the city too. So very construction dense. So it's also where there are lower trees due to being very old, very, very old part of the city. Even this part that was destruction in the earthquake and the tsunami has been rebuilt. So it's an area with a bit more than 200 years, but still has been rebuilt without trees in mind. So these are areas, especially because of tourists. This is tourist area, so a lot of people notice this effect in the river, which are not very built with. And this part is a forest, so I just wanted to showcase this part as well. So this is just to showcase that it does matter the amount of greenery in the city, because it's quite visible when you look at the number of trees, and the part where the effect is bigger, and therefore people surf more. So these are a few examples of urban spaces in my city. So this is this is a new park that has been and is supposed to become urban forest. So it's still in growth, but it's a very big area in outskirts of the city, and it serves the most part of the population. This is the most densely part of the city, which is Olivais near the airport. This is a park where the expo was, so it's mainly just grass, but it still feels quite a different. And this is Monsanto, this forest park. So it's a very big area that was built 100 years ago to serve the population and as a wildlife refuge. So this is also come with a drainage problem. This is also supposed to help with drainage, and we have a very big problem in our city that in the past 3 years, every year, we have been suffering immense flooding. And since it's a very hilly city, this has come with also like rivers being formed. So this is images of 2 months ago. In March, there was very high intensity raining. So this, like creating more urban spaces in empty land, will also help with drainage. What the city now is doing is trying to make their avenues, the main parts, more green in order for people not to suffer, and also to help with the drainage problem. And these are not the only climate refuges, like green spaces. Climate refuges are also like spaces like libraries and museums where people can take refuge from high temperatures. Public spaces, they're open and with AC. Green spaces are the most accessible, especially in residential areas where there are not museums and so on. So this is a strategy that has now been implemented, although it's mainly being in the outskirts of the city, in the more outside the city part, because there's this very big problem in Baixa, which is the downtown, because it's hilly, it's old, and it's hard to compromise patrimony with rebuilding. And there literally is no space because very narrow streets. And there, people have been moving more towards green roofs, but still it's not very common to see, especially because of a habitation crisis, which affects mostly those areas. So green spaces don't only contribute for mitigating this climate effect, but also they enhance physical activity since they offer spaces for people to go outside and do sports. And my favorite is improve social cohesion because they offer spaces for people to come together and have initiatives as a community, which is something in cities we often lack, is the sense of community due to population and lack of spaces as well. So spaces like this give opportunity for improved sense of community, which is very important. These are a few examples outside Lisbon. So first one is the case of Barcelona. So you must be familiar with the octagonal areas of Barcelona. So this is like they're called manzanas, which mean apples. And they are transforming the intersections into habitable spaces for first to serve as greener spaces, because it's also a city that suffers a lot from this effect since it's very sunny as well, and to improve social cohesion in the sense to build community spaces for these neighborhoods. Right now, Madrid, which doesn't have a river, is one of the few cities that doesn't have a body of water, is building a huge corridor for the same purpose. It's a wind garden, so to create ventilation, because sometimes there's 47 degrees there, and it's very hard to cope with it. And this is a more out-of-the-box example, which is called Liquid Tree. This was implemented in Serbia, in Belgrade. And so the idea was to create these trees. They're basically made of algae in order to improve air quality. Like I said, in Belgrade is I think is top leader in worst air quality in Europe. And Sofia doesn't come much more after. But they try to design this, although it doesn't replace the tree. They try to design this as a way to have some social purpose. So it has a charging station as well as just a bench to create shade here. Although it doesn't look much like it, the idea was to create a bit shade and place to rest. So in my city, there's these great local initiatives. So rounding green spaces, not only to showcase green spaces, but also found conjugate ways of improving the social cohesion. So there's this festival that occurs every May and every November that showcases our gardens. They open up all gardens in the city. They have during the festival also the initiative of greening neighborhoods, so people can sign up and they will come with plants to decorate their balconies, to greenery also the streets. And this comes with workshops, opening spaces like this article farm and Parmalab, which was created with students, but now is a place where anyone can come any day, take part in activities, and also they have a common community kitchen. And so these are open for everyone, anyone. And this is I'm sorry that this is in Portuguese because these are website links. This is a greenhouse, a community greenhouse. So there are a lot of opportunities for communities to join surrounding green spaces. They don't have to be horticulture, although these are usually the most accessible. And so, yeah, it's mostly about community. For me, parks. That's why I like this topic a lot.
So they're also talking about permaculture there
Mhm.
in Permalab because like the
Yes,
name it's
yes. The foundation is permaculture, and they do composting, and they also have this. They do fermenting of various things, so they have during the winter as well when there is less types of food. So they are open every day, basically, and anyone can join them. It started as a university project, but it has grown it has grown a lot, and now the people in charge are not even studying there anymore, but anyone can come. And on Saturdays they open for community dinner, and they cook with only things from their gardens. And you can also buy plants as a donation. And it's actually a very cool initiative. They are like the biggest example, but we have another neighborhoods in one of the oldest areas in Penha de França. They also have this kind of, it's a very hilly area, so they have these like layers, and they have a community solar oven, and they do workshops as well for the neighborhood because that neighborhood is very construction dense, and it's like a oasis there. It's very cool.
very nice. And you have vertical farm in Lisbon as well?
Yeah, this is in the same neighborhood as Permalab, which is where most people live, is in Alvalade. And this is the one I haven't visited because these two are products of university projects. This is INISA, which is the Agriculture Institute. They have a very big campus, green campus with farm animals and everything. And this one I haven't visited, but yes, it's from I'm not sure of the English term, but it's Junta de Freguesia, which is like not the municipality, but the neighborhood government. And yes, people can sign up and get their own shelf to plant what they want. And I think it's mostly hydroponics. So this is hydroponic tower, right? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it. And yes, it's at least in the neighborhood I used to be in, in Benfica. There's community gardens as well, and everyone can sign up. And there come especially they have also done a lot of work in integrating immigrants there. And so these are all social products that come from these types of spaces. And the last one I wanted to bring, last pro point, is biodiversity, supporting biodiversity, which is not something we often think in cities. We often forget about it, but it is present in cities. If you see a butterfly, if you see a squirrel, it is present. So, and it should not be overlooked. And cities often come as interruption for wildlife movements, and these were to be places that were like a lot of cities are places that were migratory spots for a lot of species, not only birds. And we have taken out that part, and we can, with green spaces, we can give them back. Although maybe you don't see yourself seeing a fox, but at least in Lisbon, we do have foxes sometimes in the urban parks. So this is a way to support them as well. And I have a small video to talk about this.
Often think of large, distant lands
okay.
like state parks or national wilderness areas. No doubt these are great spots for nature. But here in town, close to home, small urban green spaces can be home to some amazing wildlife. At first glance, this small neighborhood park may not seem like much. After all, the playground takes up most of the space. But when we look on the edge of the park, where all the shrubs, bushes, and tall trees are, we start to notice that they're full of life. Caterpillars, beetles, butterflies, and moths all make their homes here. That winds through town and connects to other valuable wildlife habitat. In the open fields, if we stay still, we can hear the songs of the killdeer and watch flycatchers hunting and helping us with insect control as they feast on the little bugs that we saw earlier. Nearby ponds provide habitat for migratory birds like egrets, herons, ducks, and geese. Even these temporary visitors need places to rest, eat, and give us a chance to appreciate their beauty. Linear parks like this one connect several smaller green spaces and act like highways for wildlife. Raccoons, opossums, bobcats, and coyotes are just a few of the animals that we can see traveling through the urban ecosystem. If we zoom out a little more, the entire city is dotted with these creeks, rivers, and small wild places that form a mosaic of connected green spaces. These small green spaces can be found in the form of cemeteries, vacant lots, golf courses, college campuses, corporate campuses, green belts, and creekways. Together, they are home to an amazing assortment of wildlife. Even hawks and owls live here. Urban planners, city councils, park boards, and urban wildlife biologists can look at the entire city as a connected matrix of small green spaces and can do their part to increase connectivity across our landscapes. This provides tremendous value to wildlife, raises our property values, and increases our quality of life. Even in the midst of roads, parking lots, and buildings, when we look closer, the spaces between are whole communities filled with natural spaces and wild things. And these seemingly small things enrich our lives and make our community better. Everyone loves nature, and the nature near our home is the best kind of all.
Okay. It was just, I liked how she explained that parks are not only for us. And I like to think of this as an example that maybe urban spaces don't have to be so separate from natural ones, and we all benefit from it. I don't think I ever heard someone said that they were unhappy around nature. So that's it. That's what I wanted to bring, and a bit of reflection, like how do we relate to nature? Nature, are we part of it or apart from it? Because I think we should integrate this. So that's like when you imagine utopic city, probably you imagine some kind of scenery like Back from the Future, where flying cars and technology rules. But for me, it's a greener city. It's community spaces. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Marta. Maybe we can go back to the previous slide for the reflection.
Yeah. And they're not very deep questions. They're more wondering if you have examples in your own cities or do you feel like your city is not green enough, or if it makes you feel connected or not.
What would you say about Varna?
I think that apart from the Sea Garden, I love the Sea Garden. It's great. It's really a great example. And it's not only a park, it has so much inside. No. But apart from the Sea Garden, I mean the mount, I don't know the name of the mount, but the one north, it's also a great place for hiking. But besides those parts, like inside the city, it's not very dense. I think especially because you have a main road crossing the city. So the Levski road. I feel like there is lacking a lot. And
Yeah.
at least the part where I was, because it was the university campus, I didn't miss as much the greenery, but when I was driving around in the car, I felt a bit like you have the Sea Garden, but the rest is a bit naked.
Yeah, it is true. We have more, well, the Sea Garden is in the center of the city, but we have more green spaces around the city than inside it. And I think before, maybe there were urban planners in Varna, but they didn't think of the green part to make the city more difficult. But I think older people are trying to work with what they have, so they do always like small gardens in front of the buildings if they have space, and they teach also the younger generation about, well, it's not like bigger trees or something, but
yeah, what I've liked, I mean, maybe it was too much of it, but it's maybe more in the central part, like near the hospital. Every square of buildings has a children's playground. Yeah, and usually now at least in Levski, they've put these round picnic tables. So they are taking initiative and creating these spaces for people. So that's already a step. But maybe there's also not a lot of room for more green spaces. But here, at least in Lisbon, like the downtown area, the main tourist focus, like the part you see when you search the city, it was completely destructed in the 18th century. So it was completely redesigned, and still, I mean, there was not this idea. So if you go on the map, it's completely straight lines, but not only the main square has a few trees, and it's not a lot, and it's only decorative, which they are jacarandas. They turn purple around this month, but they are naked. Yeah, they do purple flowers now.
nice.
It looks very pretty, but the rest of the year it's very naked. And yeah, even now, at least in the city I actually live in, urban planners, and it's the hottest place in the country. So it's like 45 degrees in summer. And still urban planners don't, they, at least in outside my door, it's a church and it's a patio where old ladies meet on Sunday, and they reconstructed, they took down the school because it wasn't used anymore, and they reconstructed it, but it's just cement. It has one tree, and it's a very big area. It could serve perfectly as a park, and no one uses that area because it's just cement. So still, there's not very, at least in Portuguese planners, there's not a very big mentality for this.
Mm.
And we suffer a lot, not only from temperature, but
Yeah, for Bulgaria, like the other cities, Sofia is a bit more green. I don't know if you went there.
I did. Yeah, it has quite a lot of parks, yes. I did
Yes.
check on the map too.
Mm-hmm. And then Plovdiv also, well, I'm not sure how many parks it has in the neighborhood, but they try to make at least one big park
Yeah.
in each city, west, etc., etc. Yeah. I also wanted to ask Nathan about green spaces in his city or country.
Well, in the capital, Manila, we really don't have that much of green spaces, so it's mostly urbanized. So yes, you can imagine more flooding in the area, and but the green cities, they're mostly in the rural areas, which is far from the capital. So we still have like a vast forestry in the country, but yeah, it's in the rural areas, and they are protected areas. So, but yeah, the green spaces, well, they kind of implement it within, let's say, the malls, the public areas, but not really as much. So yeah, that's the situation in my country.
And it's a very big city, Manila.
Yeah, well, it's really dense in terms of population, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
highly urbanized.
Okay. So for anyone who is watching us on YouTube, I hope many people you can reflect on these questions for yourself, and follow our YouTube channel, because we're going to have more webinars on similar topics. Including Nathan, we'll organize one a webinar with Nathan, including also his country. Like we still don't have the topic, but when we have it, we'll post it on our Facebook page, and then we will upload the video to YouTube. Yeah. Marta, this is a feedback form that you created, right?
Yeah, it was more for the in-person, yeah. But
Yeah.
the links are still useful.
Yes, of course. So whoever is watching, you can also give us feedback through this form, or send us an email to edsgpg@gmail.com. Or write to us in our Facebook page. If you want to become also our intern part of the team, you're very much welcome. And that's it, more or less. Thank you everyone for being here, for giving from your time, the most precious resource that we have. and see you again.